Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fast Lane Pod. As usual, my name is Olawunmi, and with me is Temi. Hi, Temi. How are you? What's going on?
Hi guys, I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be here. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Excited. It's a new season. I'm super excited. I
One
can't
week
wait.
to go. Less than one
1
week to
week to
go.
go.
Literally, this time, well, no, not this, yeah, this time next week, we will be talking about qualifiers.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the motorsport season has already started.
Yeah.
MotoGP started this morning.
Oh,
So
nice.
there was qualifying this morning in Thailand. So I
Okay.
mean, it's great to be. So that was already the first. Well, actually, last weekend there was WSBK Superbikes. They opened their season last weekend, but today for me the season really started fully with MotoGP today. Shocking result, controversial result, but this is motorsports, right? So I can't wait. This next week for F1 is also going to be like unbearable. Like,
It is going
I
to
can't
be
wait.
crazy. So we had a plan. Olawumi is trying to get us to stick to a plan, but like a thought just came to my mind. So let's just I'm
Let's
just gonna
go.
just go and
Forget
then
the plan. Let's go
we'll
with
come
it.
back
Let's
to
go
the
with it.
plan. So speaking of
Yeah.
like next week, right? Did you watch the so the testing last week, second set of testing, they did a practice start and there was that practice. So Lewis, he was in like 11th or 12th on the grid. And, you know, all I saw was shoom, shoom.
He was gone like it was like Speed Racer.
So for those of you that didn't watch it, he started 11th on the grid. And the aim of this practice start was, just to get
Test
them
their
to
practice,
starting the engines and revving it at the beginning of the race. And Lewis was 11th. And by the first corner, I kid you not, he was first.
He was ahead of everybody. He passed everybody, yeah.
He was first. Like, like the commentators, what do you call them? They were like nobody understood
the pundits,
what was happening.
like what just happened here?
What just happened?
It was ridiculously good.
It got me.
It started to give me hope. Like,
yeah.
And it was more than one start. It wasn't just one test start. It was like 2 or 3 starts. It was just redonkulous.
But you know why this is important for me? Because we've always said Ferrari need to improve qualifiers. Because in the race, they have pace. See what I did there? In the race, they have pace. But
what's up? Temi's rhyming. She's rhyming.
But in qualifiers, they never get the speed. And so they start further back on the grid. But this means even if they don't fix qualifiers, let them start 11th on the grid. We're going to end up first, baby.
Yeah. Unless Max decides to be an immovable mountain.
I swear.
No, Max might decide to have a word with you about that. He might decide, you know what? I'm not letting you go past me.
Yes.
And they
have Max on the grid when they did the test start?
I think there was a Red Bull on that grid. I don't remember now. I think there was.
Not sure.
I think Max was on that grid. I think he was on that grid.
Yeah.
So let's start. So I read about it. For some reason, I didn't follow that. I saw the headlines and I was just like, yeah, whatever, whatever. Until maybe it just kept going around. It was now on one of my Reddit feeds, and I saw something about the Superstar, and also the Scuderia Ferrari Reddit group, and they were talking. People who are normally not enthusiastic, right? Who are like, don't let me deal with this hopium, right? Rather just deal with copium. But it was like, let's deal with hopium, and I was like, wait, well, hold on, no, this guy's what? This guy is starting from the back, like from the middle of the grid. And finishing the first corner in first place. Man, do we dare hope? Do we dare to hope?
I think, I think we saw there were some headlines before that test start. There were some headlines about, Ferrari, having mastered something that gave them an edge to start in the race. We had seen the headlines, and apparently, they had cleared it with the FIA as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But I don't think we understood the impacts. And there's been a lot of conversation about the slow starts generally, which is why I think this is a big deal, right? Max and Lewis did an interview, during their media days, and they were on the same day. And I can't remember the question, but it was around the fact that race starts are going to be quite slow, and could it be problematic? And Lewis was saying, yeah, it's a bit of a problem, but he doesn't think it's dangerous. And I know Max joked about it and said, anyone that thinks it's dangerous can go and start from the pit lane if they wish to do so. But I think the Lewis situation, it shows that Ferrari have good starts, but it also emphasized the slowness generally of the cars, right? Just getting off that line. And I know now, I think they've implemented a strategy where the light, I don't know if it's before or after the light turns. No, I think maybe before the light turns green, there's like a 5-second delay so that they can rev their engines. So they kind of have a head start to rev their engines. Something like that. So they've built in some solution that should hopefully help people get ready for the start. But I don't think, we need to see what Australia brings, right? What Melbourne brings, because I think that's when we'll truly know what's going on, with these race starts. It's an important topic because, it sets the pace for the race, right? It does,
especially on circuits where it's difficult to overtake.
Exactly.
And we know that, we have an entirely new aero formula. So who knows? The jury is still out on how easy it will be to follow and then to overtake in race conditions. But we know that some circuits are more difficult than others. Places like Monaco and Singapore, where qualifying is almost certainly everything. Then if you're able to lead, to be in first place by the end of the first corner, in Monaco, you've probably won the race. You can control the pace. You can choose when you pit, when you accelerate, hammer time and all that. So I think that start is a big deal.
I think I saw somewhere, speaking of Monaco, that FIA has removed the mandatory two-stop.
They have?
Yeah, two-stop pits. I think, recently the FIA came out.
Last year they had the rule. They had to have minimum of 2 pit stops.
Let me check. I'll confirm this. We'll confirm it. But I think so that makes it more interesting, right?
That's actually interesting. And I would wonder why they would need to do that. Although I guess it wasn't really effective the last time. Truth of the matter is that everyone can figure out what everyone else is doing. So the gamble of, do I undercut, do I overcut? Apparently it wasn't as successful as they hoped for. But dropping it so fast, I don't know if you abandoned. I don't know what the point of abandoning it is.
They've abandoned it 6 hours ago. Formula One has abandoned plans to repeat. So 1 second, let me read from this. Formula One has abandoned plans to repeat its one-off Monaco Grand Prix pit stop rule in the wake of last year's controversy. So the mandatory two-stop rule has been scrapped for 2020.
What was the controversy last year at Monaco?
So apparently, and I don't remember much, but apparently last year, as we can expect, the teams just used it as a strategy, right? So most of the teams sacrificed one of their drivers. Red Bull, then Racing Bull sacrificed Liam Lawson, at the expense of to the benefits of the other driver. We saw then it was Carlos Sainz, and who was his teammate? Carlos Sainz and
Albon?
Sainz and Albon, exactly. They were close to each other in the race, and so one of the drivers basically held up the pack so that the other driver could make a quick pit stop. And just tactics like that, right? Which didn't really improve racing, because they found tactics around it. So this year, according to one report, FIA has quietly just, scrapped it, and we're moving back to the one-stop pit strategy, which
I guess it makes sense because the race wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I remember now that I tuned out after I think my usual thing where I watched it for the first few laps, and when I just gave up.
To be fair to them, I can understand why they tried.
Yeah, you have to try something.
Yeah, exactly. Especially
they couldn't be seen to not be doing. Do you have an idea what would work in Monaco? Do you think there's something that could be done?
I think the question for me really is, does something need to be done? I feel like there's a track like that, right? It's like that, like all tracks are different. That is Monaco's, that is how Monaco works as a track. Just leave it be. That's why you then have the next week and you have a completely different track. So I'm not sure what they're trying to fix. And I don't know that it needs to be fixed. It's just the way we race in Monaco, and it works for some people. It doesn't work for others. But that's just like any other track.
I don't know if I agree with you. So again, the old man in me comes out. But I recall Monaco races where there was actual overtaking. There was actual racing.
So what changed then? Because
the cars got too big. The cars got too big. So those cars used to be like half of the size they are right now. If you've ever seen the graphics between the comparison between a modern F1 car and an F1 car just 30 years ago, all right, the cars that Schumacher and co raced in, okay, those cars are considerably smaller, so that you could have places where two cars would be side by side, okay.
Okay, well, the cars are smaller than last year. Do you think that would help?
No, I think the cars are way too big. Regardless,
they're still too big.
Yeah, too big. And then with the aero, they can't follow closely anyway. So it's boring. I don't like watching Monaco. I don't enjoy F1 much anymore anyway. But Monaco is easily one of the worst three races on the grid. Easily one of the worst three. Bottom three. So why do we keep Monaco around?
No, I think that's the question, right? Yeah. And I don't know how long Monaco's contract is still. But yeah, maybe that's the question we should be looking at, right? Because we're not going to change the cars. They're not going to get any more. So
I'm not such a purist. There's the argument that the classic F1 tracks, the classic tracks, the ones that deliver the best racing, Spa is gone.
Exactly.
So when you have track like some of the best tracks are no longer on the grid, okay, they're no longer part of the circuit anymore, and then you want to argue in favor of Monaco because it's a classic track. It doesn't deliver a classic experience. It's just a marketing gem. They call it the gem of the crown jewel of F1, perhaps, but what it is just a street party in the city of the ultra rich. It delivers zero racing.
Olawunmi, sorry to burst your bubble, but as of now, Monaco is going to be on the calendar.
Oh, they're not dropping anytime soon.
Yeah,
they're not dropping anytime soon. I know that. No, it's not going anywhere. Even I dare say, even in 2035, okay, they will find a way to extend it.
Yeah,
they will do something to extend it.
Yeah,
because it's Monaco. It's one of the oldest races.
But as I said, it's literally one race, right? Like, I don't know. I guess it's for FIA to weigh the benefits, but it's one race out of, a calendar, a whole season.
I agree.
Sometimes it is nice for qualifiers to mean something, right? So that in Monaco, qualifiers is everything. So,
and then it becomes a procession, right?
Yeah, literally.
It's not just a procession from basically the race is settled in the first corner.
In the first corner.
The first corner is done.
But let's see how these new race starts will affect the first corner at Monaco.
Well, I mean, if he delivers a grid in which the Ferraris end the first corner in first and second place,
then you're not mad.
I'm here for it. But so, what's the guarantee that if it's Ferrari, that it's Lewis that's in front?
I don't think there's any guarantee. I think that they will equally have a good start, and so it could be Charles and then Lewis, or it can be Lewis and then Charles. However, can I say, I do think that generally, even last season, I dare to say, Lewis gets some good starts. He's not. Yeah. I typically think that on the start line, he's quite good, right? He usually knows how to get away from the pack and to get through the. So I dare to say that it could be him in front in terms of the Ferrari.
Would you be happy if Ferrari were having a good season, but it was Charles that was on top?
No, I'm not mad with that, because I feel like if that's the case, Lewis won't be far behind.
Okay.
And so you're happy all I want right now is for Lewis to have a better season than last time. Great if he's like number 1 or number 2, but as long as he's like top 4, top 5, it just shows that there's been progress for me. And I'm not too mad at that.
That's a fair point. Yeah. So are you happy if Charles wins the world championship and Lewis is second?
Charles is first and Lewis is second?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. Yeah. You're not so happy?
What if Lewis is third?
I'm still happy. And maybe Lewis is third and
fourth?
And Charles is still first?
Yeah.
I'd end it at fourth.
Okay. I'll take that. That's very fair to our boy Charles. To Charles. Yeah. It's very fair. I had to ask that question because I wanted to know just how much, what was more important to you? Was it for Lewis to do well or for Ferrari to do well?
Let me just say, it is not more important to me. That because my answer can be misconstrued. It is not more important to me for Ferrari to do well.
Okay.
Right? But I want Lewis to do well. But it's just, what does well mean to me? Okay. You get what I mean? So I'm not putting Ferrari above Lewis, no, because I don't support Ferrari. I support Lewis. Yeah.
Fair enough. For me, I'd rather have Lewis on top.
Of course.
That would be my preference. If Lewis were to finish season second or third to Charles, I would still feel a sense of loss because it would confirm that Lewis definitely passed it, and that whatever's left is not longer enough to keep him competitive.
So you think someone who's fourth is not competitive?
If your teammate came first,
fourth out of 22.
If your teammate came first in the same car, then fourth means your teammate beat you by a significant margin.
Okay, but can we also just be a bit realistic? In my opinion, I don't think there's a scenario where Charles comes first this year. I don't see it.
And that's fine. That's fine.
Right. So let's speak about maybe two. Sorry. Let's say, okay, Charles is second, let's say. More realistic, right? He could be second. And then you have Lewis in fourth, for example. Do you think that he is still not competitive with that gap?
Depends on the size of a gap.
Okay.
But what I don't want to have happen is for Charles to mop the floor with Lewis this season.
Yeah, I get you.
It would then be something like 4 consecutive seasons where he's being beaten by his teammate.
Yeah, I get.
There's no coming back from that. You know, and not just beaten by 2 or 3 points, but decimated him, as it were, destroyed him. I don't want to see that anymore. So if it was 20 points, 25 points, 40 points, I can live with it. But 100 points, I think 25 points would be my limit. A race win would be my limit to what I accept as, I like 25 points. Anything less than 25 points, or sorry, more than 25 points for me is proper decimation.
Okay, I agree.
And so wait, though, fighting talk here, Temi. There's no scenario. You don't see a scenario in which Charles ends the season in the first place.
I don't, to be honest with you. I don't. I really realistically don't see it. I feel like he could fight for the championship this year, and he will fight for the championship. But whether he will be the champion, I don't know. And I'd like us to have this conversation again midway through the season, right?
We shall.
And just to see where people are and to see how the car is doing. Right now, all I'm going based on is the shakedown and testing. And and he looked good during both, right? But I still don't think that's enough. He looked good, but other people looked better. And I think we have, as I've said recently, I'm rooting for Charles this year. But we've seen his teammate Kimi do, some good laps during testing, and so yeah, I mean, George has got a point to prove, but Kimi's right behind him saying, "Don't forget me too." And I'm not mad if Kimi is also fighting in the race for the fight. And we know he's got a good car this year, or it seems like he's got a good car this year. So yeah, I don't think we can put.
And he was fast enough during testing.
Yeah,
he showed promise in testing.
Yeah, he was. I think he was the fastest. He did the fastest lap in one of the tests, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and then there's this whole compression ratio thing. Now I'm not into I don't know the technicalities following it, but I know recently the FIA, they've come to say in terms of what do you call it, testing the compression ratio, in terms of measuring the compression ratio, that they are going to allow Mercedes currently up until June. And so I saw a meme where it was like everybody coming for George and Kimi post June. Because everyone, the thought is that now they will have the advantage, and then come June, everyone's going to try and catch up. So,
and which is very interesting, because several seasons have been decided like that, on something as simple as you have an advantage and nobody's able to catch up with you for the first 6 months, or for the first half of the season. And by the time everybody can catch up with you, the damage is done. You've built up such a lead that nobody can actually catch you. And that was Jenson Button with Braun GP. That was exactly what it was with the blown diffuser. So they had worked out a way to keep the engine, pumping out exhaust fumes while the car was turning, to keep the diffuser working while the car was turning. So in corners, so it meant the car was also able to be fast in corners as well as straights.
Corners.
And the other teams protested, this is illegal, this is not legal. By the time, I think it was that the FIA eventually outlawed the technology, or allowed the other teams to use it.
Okay.
I don't remember which it was anymore. But by the second half of the season, everybody now had the same technology. And Braun went from having won all the races ahead up to that point to winning no other races at the end of the season.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jenson Button was world champion.
But that proves the point that, Formula One is not just about good driving, right? No. It's much more than that. But, I kind of challenge you on that. While I think, a lot can happen before June, I think last year we saw Piastri in the lead coming out of summer, right? And we saw how that changed by the end of the season. We saw how Max was far behind, and then something sparked, and so anything can happen. Do you get what I mean? Like they can They can be leading up till June, and who knows? The Ferraris come and take over post June, or the McLarens.
Yeah, so we're basically saying the same thing, that Mercedes can have the advantage in the first half of the season because of this technical advantage with the engine, and come the middle of the season, when everybody else, when the playing field becomes level again, you can then find another scenario where either Ferrari are no longer first, so either Mercedes are no longer first, or or the advantage is not so great anymore. The worst that can happen is that they come back and they're completely nowhere. But I mean, imagine that they found themselves, say, 4/10 a second ahead of everybody else before the mid-season break, the summer break, and they came out from the summer break and they were only 1/10 ahead.
Yeah,
that's still not bad.
Yeah,
but if I remember correctly, Braun GP found themselves like proper behind.
Okay.
To the point where they didn't win any more races. So it then depends on how, the kind of gap that you're able to build
within that time.
During that period where you had the advantage. So to take a look at McLaren last season, like you said, Oscar had built a sizable advantage for himself, right? It seemed like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
And then Lando came, and it was race by race, race by race. And Oscar still had a couple of good results. So imagine if it turned out he was absolutely nowhere after the summer break. It would have been even worse.
Yeah.
And that's a very real thing that can happen, that Mercedes can find themselves circumstances they can find themselves in, where they come back from the summer break and the car is just nowhere. Now imagine they don't maximize their opportunities in the first half. And if you don't win every single race, if you don't make hay while you have the advantage, if you don't win every race you can possibly win, if you end up having mechanical DNFs or you crash and you don't take all the points that you should take, then come the end of the season, you might find yourself far from where you ought to be.
Yeah.
And that advantage becomes negated. Yeah,
I agree. And one thing that just came to mind was last year we saw like, I guess the most predominant one being, the battle between Piastri and Lando. Do you think we're going to see more of that this year? Do you think we're going to see it amongst other teams as well? Because what also comes to mind is, Russell and Antonelli. Do you think we're going to see, we've discussed it already, Hamilton and Leclerc? Do you think we're going to see more of those inter-team battles this year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We will see more of those. I think because it's a level playing field, and everybody starts from scratch. I mean, there'll still be the aliens, people like Max and Kimi, and Hadjar. So the most natural talents on the grid will adapt to that car. It also depends actually on how good the package from the team is. If your team is nowhere, it doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, if you remember Mercedes and the most recent rules we set with purposing on the Mercedes car, was that 2022? With the car purposing all over the place. So it didn't matter how good the drivers were. It came down to the car just being horrible. But if you have a good car, then I think you're going to see, depending on which driver is able to adapt more to the car, I think you'll see, and depending on the strength of the pairing as well. I think with the teams that have very strong pairings, I think you're likely to see that kind of contest.
Who would you say are those teams that have strong pairings? Who are you thinking about?
Look, McLaren have a strong pairing. I mean, look, continuing from last season, McLaren have a strong pairing. The Saubers, the Audis have a strong pairing in those two experienced drivers.
Yeah.
Okay. No, those are Cadillacs, right?
Well, that's Cadillac, exactly.
So that's Cadillac. So with Bottas and
Bottas
and Checo.
and
Bottas and Checo. You've got a strong pair in there. I don't know about Red Bull. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, sadly, I can't say I'm sure about Ferrari. I mean, from testing, it appeared like Charles was 3 to 4 tenths ahead of Lewis from testing. And if the gap is like that in races, then it's not going to be close.
Yeah. It's these discussions are premature because it's hard. The only information we have
know,
but it's hard to use testing as well, right? Because that's the opportunity for you to test the car. And one person's focusing on how the car reacts in certain situations, another one is testing its speed. So it's tough. I think, after the first couple of races, if we come back, I feel like a lot of the things we say here may drastically change. Right?
I hope so. But in terms of the intra-team battles, I think that's a different ball game entirely. So we know that, look, we know Mercedes will, both drivers seem to be on top of their game. And last season, towards the end of last season, it seemed like Kimi had found his feet. And it seemed like he was going to be a good match for George with some more experience under his belt. So when you put them in two different, on a completely new package, it's George's third rules set since he joined F1. It's Kimi's second already. So it's a fairly more level playing field there. Okay. With Red Bull, it's tougher to call because Max is Max, right? Max is Max. In a place like Williams, where you have Sainz and you have Albon, my money is on Sainz, to be honest. Okay, I just feel like, but it depends on how they get along with the car. And like you said, it's too early to say. But for the intra-team battles, some teams are more fairly matched than others.
Yeah.
And I think McLaren and Mercedes are among two of the best matched teams. I don't think that, for example, that Aston Martin are well matched at all. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And regardless how much speed Alonso has lost, allegedly, right? Lance is still not on.
I hope Lance will not
shock nowhere near him.
I hope Lance will not shock you this season.
I hope he will. For his own sake, I hope he will. I hope he's not still stuck behind a 43 or 44-year-old driver whose last title was almost 2 decades ago.
I don't know if that's a shot at Lance or a shot at Fernando. But moving on, what about Haas? So we have Behrman and we have Ocon. What do you think of that pairing?
More evenly matched pairing.
Yeah, I think so.
That's an evenly matched pairing. That's an evenly matched pairing.
No, I was just going to say we saw, during testing, the Haas wasn't too bad. And, to be honest, Behrman surprises me a few times. I look at the table and he's like third. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on? What did I miss? So I think he's definitely a good driver. And I think that, if the car is good this season, I mean, they did one of the most number of laps as well, which speaks to the engine being reliable.
Yes.
So let's see. They might be fighting in the midfield.
Let's see. As long as the two drivers are competitive, then that's fine. As long as they're able to compete with each other at the very least. And it would be nice to see more racing towards the front of the pack. I'd like to see
front of the pack
on every given race week. At the very front, I'd like to see on any given Sunday, right, at least four drivers from 2 or 3 different teams in contention for the win. It would be nice.
I think that we will see that this season, and I'm hoping, and I think it'll be for different reasons, right? I think that we will have reliability issues, which will favor some people. So that will mean some other people are able, especially in the race, they're able to perform better. I think then we will see pure speed, which will work in some drivers' favor. We will see the whole start issue, some people getting a better start and all the issues surrounding the start, which again will work in some people's favor. So I just think the new rules has introduced so many different elements that people can capitalize on. We saw the Ferrari have this rotating wing. It's not really sure whether it's adding an advantage or not, but you know, it's a new innovation. So I think there will be different things that will give different people an edge, which will mean there's more to fight for. Like more people will be fighting. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think
No, that would be nice to see. That would be it would be nice to see a reset at the front of the grid. It would be nice to see a reset and a place where even the midfield guys are more of a factor.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see a more competitive grid. And I'm hoping that this rule set. But there's a lot more to manage. So there's a lot more to go wrong this time around, right? There's so much more complexity. There's so much for the drivers to manage. That maybe that also is a factor, you know, where drivers are making mistakes or, you know, not able to manage things, or teams are getting, because there are now so many more variables to deal with, right, to manage.
I'm actually expecting chaos. I'm expecting chaos for the first few races. I just feel like everyone is going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, there's two things, right? We either see caution on the grid or we see chaos. People are like, I'm just gonna go. And if you just go in the first few races, there's gonna be teething pains. Do you get what I mean? Some people will crash, some people's car will just stop. Some people, there will be different things that will arise unless you are being cautious. But I don't think Formula One drivers are built to be cautious. I think that's a problem. So chaos. That's what I said. It's gonna be chaos.
They're not wired to be cautious. No. I mean, some are more cautious than others. Or these guys are not wired to be cautious at all. Some are more cautious than others, but those guys are wired to go for the gaps. They go for every single gap. And people like Max are more aggressive than others.
On that note, have you do you watch Drive to Survive?
Nope.
Okay. So
I've
Drive
seen
to Survive
episodes, and I've never seen any in full.
Okay, interesting. So Drive to Survive season 8 is officially out on Netflix. Tune in. I've been seeing little little clips from George, who seems to be the comedian on the grid. But yeah, so you know, Drive to Survive has a special place in my heart. That's how I fell in love with Formula One. So I'm excited to watch it. And I hope that it will not annoy me with the perception that it tries to, I guess, to show or advance. It's always, you know, when I first watched it, I hadn't watched the previous season. So I relied on what it showed me. But it's always difficult when you've watched the season and then you watch it, because sometimes there's a narrative that you don't entirely agree with, having watched the season yourself. And obviously, it was a difficult season for one of my best drivers, and so I'm just hoping that watching it doesn't annoy me. But yeah, tune in, guys, if you haven't already. Let us know, what do you think of Drive to Survive.
So what do you enjoy about Drive to Survive? Why do you like it?
I like seeing I believe there's more to Formula One than the race that we see. I like seeing the other side. Number one, I like seeing their lives. You know, it tells us a bit more about their personalities and like what's going on in their lives. And then I like to see the parts of the season that, you know, I couldn't capture because I'm watching it on Sky Sports and they don't show everything, right? So I think it's just it provides a more complete, a fuller picture of Formula One, and that's what I like.
Okay, so I've tried to watch it a few times, and I just thought what I watched was a bit too Hollywood. Like I thought they were pushing a narrative that I didn't quite see during the season. I just thought, you know, and then I guess maybe the old school fan in me just wants to see the race and not much else, you know, without the editorials and posts. So, but I think I'm going to try and watch this one. and see.
No, I can see that as well, and it's also okay. But I also believe there's a new generation of fans that need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. And so yeah, it's good as long as you're not just watching that. As long as you watch the race as well, then you form your own opinions. And yeah. I mean, I'll let you know once I'm done with the season. I'll come here and I'll give you my review of what I think.
So you'd advise someone who's never watched, who's trying to get into F1, to watch Drive to Survive?
Definitely.
You'd advise them to?
If you are considering F1, you're not sure about it, you hear Olawunmi and I every week speaking about it, and you're not sure, I would say sit down, watch a couple of episodes of Drive to Survive. It's well produced, and it grabs your attention, right? Which I guess is the point for them. So watch a couple of episodes, you'll be hooked to Formula One, that is, and then you can watch the real thing. So my millennials,
I agree with you. I agree. So you heard it here, everyone. If you want to get into F1, one of the best ways to do so, according to Temi, is to watch the Drive to Survive series on Netflix. Do we just plug Netflix without being paid?
Honestly,
is that what we just did?
We just did. Oh, we're doing it for the culture. It's for the
it's for a good cause. For a good cause.
It's for a good
just
cause.
Plug them with that. But so I don't fault it as a vehicle to bring in new fans. I mean, you and I are here having this conversation because of Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
And so I think it does what it says on the box, or what it's supposed to do. And for that purpose, it's money well spent. If it draws in new fans, and if it helps those new fans to sustain and develop their interest in the sport, then absolutely fine.
I agree.
Who's your prediction for world champion?
Great minds think alike. I was just about to say, can we get into predictions, please? Because
let's do predictions.
We are going to use these predictions throughout the season. So, my champion, I'm a big
get in the pen so I can write this down.
I'm a big believer in what you say. I've got a pen here, by the way. So I'm a big believer in what you say. So I feel like I shouldn't be saying this if, what you say matters. So let me say, I have two. Can I say my preferred, but my actual? Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my preferred. Let me get my paper. So my preferred is the GOAT.
Lewis.
He's the only GOAT I see. See on the grid. So Temi's preferred.
Fans would like to have a word.
Is LH, right? He's my preferred champion. And if I had said this last season, you would have said, "Are you crazy?" But I think this season, people are talking about him, and it's not completely out of the box, right?
Okay.
My actual is Russell. This is Georgie's time to shine, since I'm rhyming.
Okay.
Oh yeah, hit us with yours. Preferred and actual. Don't give us more than one, just one.
My preferred, the guy whom I would absolutely love to win the title. Temi, I agree with you. It would be Lewis. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? If I had to pick a champion, it would be Lewis.
Yeah.
That's who my heart picks. Who does my head pick? Who do I think is most likely to win this come the end of the season? I don't know why I agree with you.
No!
I would have said Kimi if I was just being bloody minded. My thing is Kimi experienced enough to sustain a campaign in his second season? Let's drill this down.
Can he handle the pressure?
Lewis did it. I mean, pardon?
Can he handle the pressure?
That's where that's the point. That's where I'm going. That is exactly the pressure I was talking about. But you were saying something. Go on.
No, I was just saying last season we saw how well he was doing in the first couple of races, right? And then I think it was one of his home races. The pressure got to him and there was a downward trajectory from that point on, right? And of course, I'm sure he's learned from that. But, some of these things are experience as well. And I think he will be fighting for that but I'm not sure that he will win it. And I won't be mad at that.
And why are we agreeing so much today? Wow.
I don't like it. And I feel like, can I just say to all our viewers, this year we're gonna change it up a bit. If Olawunmi and I are agreeing too much or he's copying me too much, because I always go first, we will bring on some hard heads, some people that have more opinionated views, different views from us, and we will try and switch things up a bit, just so that we're
giving. I'm not sure I like agree with you. I'm not sure I like agreeing with you, to be honest. I'm not sure I like it.
So I've written it down, written Russell.
Yeah. So I also think that even if the two of them, let's assume the Mercedes car is the fastest car, which we expect it to be, and both drivers are in the hunt, I think while Kimi edges it on speed, on outright speed, George has a lot more experience. And that experience is what I think will be the turning point. It'll be George's third rules set in F1. Okay. So, I mean, he's experienced in dealing with change. There's also his experience in just managing 3-4 seasons alongside the GOAT, whom he roasted and made into a son.
But who he learned so much from, right?
Whom he learned so much from. So then you, on the other hand, you look at Kimi and say second season, but I say you only have to look at Lewis to see how a driver manages a second season, right? Where Lewis he almost won the title in his first season alongside Fernando Alonso, right? And then didn't he take it in second season?
Yeah, but
it's possible. So my point is that even though we think Kimi is not experienced enough, he just might come out and do this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree. I think it's possible. Everything is possible. All things are possible through Christ. But let's not compare him to Lewis, right? I think Lewis is a rare gem. What he did has not been done before. Do you get what I mean? And it's not commonly done. So just because Lewis did it doesn't mean someone else can do it. If he does do it, then we know that he's one of the rare gems. Do you get what I mean? But it's not something we've seen often. So it's more likely than not that he will not do it. I don't see it, but I think he will have a good season, and I think that's really all he needs. I think let's just build on last season and have a good season, an even better season. And no doubt, if the Mercedes is as good as we say, next season, I don't know, that could be his time, or the season after that. But I think that he will definitely be in the fight. He's definitely got something. He's got nothing to lose, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unlike George, that has something to prove. Now is his time. So you know how I feel about that. Like, when is your time? Just give it to the person. It's their time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Lando last season.
Lando's exactly. It was Lando's time. So
didn't matter. The season where Kimi won the world title, again, it was just his time, right? It's your time. It's your time. There's nothing anyone can do about it.
Exactly. And it's funny how we've spoken about drivers, and there's no McLaren here. No McLaren. So that's interesting. But does that change if we move on to the constructors? So what you go first?
we only mentioned, so we only talked about our first driver. For me, I was also going to mention beyond Kimi. I would have said.
So wait, sorry, who was your first? Who did you put as your actual?
I said emotionally, I pick Lewis emotionally.
Yeah, but actual,
I think there are 3 drivers in it for me, 3-4 drivers in it for me, and
you can't say 4 drivers now.
No, I'll tell you. No, I think that at the end of the day, it's George.
Okay,
but there will also still be these other guys who have a chance. The 2 McLarens.
Okay,
and Max. Don't rule out those 3 guys.
Who the 2 McLarens? Who are you putting? What's your take on who's better than the other?
So I think Oscar is a faster driver, and I think Oscar's learned his lesson. So let's go back to 2024, where Lando contended with Max for the title. Okay, In the end, it's his challenge fizzled out, but he made some mistakes.
Yeah.
Comes back in 2025 and seems to have learned his lessons from those errors, right?
Do you think so? Do you think he...
Hold on. I think the difference between Oscar and Lando in the end was experience. And I think it was the experience that Lando gleaned from 2024 when he lost the title to Max due to, his own errors and co. I think he came out in 2025 realizing the value of being more consistent. And in the end, right, when Oscar lost it in the end, because I think it was more like Oscar lost it than Lando won it. And I think to me, it boiled down to experience. It boiled down to Lando just being more experienced and being calmer when the pressure piled on. Okay. And that only comes from experience. And I think that having come so close last year, that Oscar's learned his lessons, and that if he finds himself in the same place again, I think he'll be more ruthless. I think he'll be more careful, more cautious, and he'll bank the points rather than risking losing the car. So I think Oscar might have the edge this time around. Slight edge, very slight edge. And it's based on raw performance and experience over Lando. And you cannot ever rule out Max Verstappen.
Yeah, if he has the car.
Notice I didn't put Charles in the mix.
Yes, you didn't put Charles in the mix.
No, because I don't know that I trust Ferrari to be consistent over a full season.
Yeah. So just touching back on the Oscar Lando. I love how we just use their first names or last names interchangeably. It's like one day you're Oscar, the next day you're Piastri, and then Lando. Anyway, just going back to that, right? I don't know that I agree. I started watching Formula One in 2024. However, most of the season had gone, and I was watching Drive to Survive and catching up on previous seasons. So the first full season I actually watched was 2025. So I can't speak to what happened in 2024. Yeah. But I don't know that I saw a Lando that had learned from his mistake. I feel like I saw a Lando, especially in the first half of the season, I saw a Lando that was making mistakes, right? I don't know. I maybe agree that experience helped him this season, but I can't say. So is it this? Does it make sense to say experience helped him, but he didn't necessarily learn from his mistakes? I don't think he was consistent. If he was consistent, he would have been in the lead for a while. He barely won this thing. That's not consistency to me. He barely won in terms of so he won because other people were not consistent. You look at Max, he wasn't consistent. It wasn't his fault, it was the car, but he wasn't consistent, right? So I don't think winning shows consistency, or for me, it highlights the lack of consistency with other drivers.
So this is how I'm going to judge it. I'm going to judge by how they peaked, okay? A season is an entire year. Yes, Oscar was faster and better at the beginning of the season. But I imagine that, and then they went on the summer break. And I imagine that Lando had a moment with his sports psychologist or whoever it is that manages his head or helps him manage his head. What have you learned from last season? Do you want to feel like you felt last season? What do you need to do to win the rest of the season? What do you need to do to turn things around? And then you're able to draw on the lessons from the previous year. Okay. But I think that it's easier to find those lessons. Now, at this point, you're dealing with the previous year and the first half of the season. Previous year where you'd underperformed or didn't perform as well and didn't deliver the title. The first half of the new season where you're also dealing with the same thing, where the package is clearly capable of more. And you're under-delivering compared to your teammate. And now you're able to channel your experience from the previous year and the first half year. So I agree that over the course of a season, if you don't have a context of what happened in the second half of the season, you can say, well, yeah, you also now really won it. But if you separate the season to two halves, right? And you see the second half where he had to chase this guy and win. He came from behind.
Yeah.
And so if you talk about peaking, right, it would look like Oscar peaked too early in the season, and Lando was able to manage his season and peak where it mattered the most at the very end. I mean, it's a matter of spin, right?
Yeah.
But if you lost the previous season because you didn't perform at your best towards the end of the season, then you have a lot more you have more experience. You have a deeper well of experience to reach into for whatever it is you need, whether it's more wisdom you need or more knowledge or more restraint or more speed, whatever it is, experience is going to give you.
Yeah, no, I feel I get what you mean. I get what you mean. So let's just let's end with constructors, right? Because what are we saying with constructors? Because we've picked top drivers, but that does not necessarily translate to constructors.
Sorry. Before we go on, let me ask you a question. Do you think if the Mercedes are fine, maybe this is premature, maybe we should have this conversation later on in the season, but look, let's tease into it. If the two drivers, George and Kimi, are evenly matched, do you think Mercedes lets them compete for the title?
Nope. I think ultimately, when it comes down to it, they will have a preference. Definitely towards the end of the season, right? You know, we all saw what happened last year. It was a big deal with McLaren, and we saw the whole, what do they call it? Their papaya rules. We saw how it played out, and they nearly lost the championship. Legitimately, they nearly lost it, right? We saw it. So Mercedes, they're not going to allow Mercedes that are just going to be pleased that they are even in the fight. You now want to allow two drivers to cancel out each other. You know, last season we saw what was the race where Piastri and Lando crashed into each other.
Yeah.
Mercedes, they're not like that. It's not what do you call it? McLaren are running a.
Toto doesn't play that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't play that.
That's so. I don't think there will be any fighting of any sort. I think if they're as even as we think they may be, there will be a preferred driver. However, this is the question I thought you would ask. Who will be the preferred driver?
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Because let me ask you. I answered the last one because I don't know the answer to that. So what do you think?
I think it's fairly straightforward, right? Mercedes will wait till the first 6 to 7 races of the season, okay? And if there's a clear leader by the 6th race, okay, they won't wait till mid-season. They won't wait till the summer break.
No, but that's not.
By the end of the 7th race weekend, right? It's clear that Kimi's ahead, and I don't mean by 10 points, 20 points. No, I mean like night and day. You've won 2 or 3 races. Your teammate hasn't won any races. You're 50 points ahead after 6 races. 50, 60 points ahead after 6 races. I think they tell the guy, and Kimi's ahead. I think they tell George, you can't race that guy.
No, but
you can't take that guy.
Olawunmi, I don't think that's the situation we're going to be in. In fact, the question you asked was, well, I can't remember the question anymore, but it was more of if they're on an even playing field. So we're saying, let me rephrase my question. If they are both doing well, they are both competitive, right? They are 1 and 2. You win one race, do you get what I mean? If we are seeing them the way Lando and Oscar were last year, do you get what I mean? Which forces you to then say, we don't want our drivers, because in the scenario you described, they're not racing each other, right? But I'm saying if they are racing each other, do Mercedes have to then say, the total we know will then say, come on, we don't want a situation where you're racing each other causes the team to lose. This is our number 1 driver. This is our preferred driver. Ogbeni, step down. Who is stepping down?
I like that, Ogbeni. Do you know what I think? At that point, they let it go on until, again, one of 2 things, or 2 of 2 things. Condition A, you're saying there's no clear driver.
There's no clear driver. You have
they're evenly matched. 12 races into the season, they're evenly matched. Okay? And you have to pick one.
Or just a few points away from each other. Let's say Russell is leading this race, then the next one, Kimi leads.
I think it goes to, so which takes me to my second condition, but second condition being, are they clearly ahead of the remaining teams in the title race?
No.
it's competitive.
It's competitive.
So there's another team is in the race with them. I think they get to the halfway point, and they tell them. I know what used to happen with F1 was they used to tell drivers that you can race until the halfway point of the season.
Okay.
So when we come back from the summer break, right, whoever is in front, we back.
Okay.
And you tell them this at the very beginning of the season.
Okay.
So everyone knows that we have a level playing field until the summer break.
Okay.
Wherever that is, whether it's Silverstone, wherever that is. But when we come back from this race, whoever is ahead, even if it's by 1 point, that guy is team leader.
Okay.
Because you remember McLaren with Fernando and Lewis gifting the title to Kimi and Ferrari.
Exactly this.
And the only reason why that title fell that way was because McLaren didn't pick a number one early enough.
Yeah, that's the risk.
They never picked it at number one.
That's the risk.
But if you get to the halfway point, and this is where the question lies, this is where it's always tough. You get to the halfway point, and one driver is only 5 points behind the other one.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no clear number one.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you. I think that is a more realistic position. That's what we will see. Something similar, right? I don't think they're going to be light years apart. And for me, the question then becomes, if George is not picked as the preferred driver, will he back down? The George I know, if he's driving, let's say Kimi's the preferred driver and they are driving on a specific track and George is in front, I don't see them on the radio telling George to back down and he backs down. I just don't see that happening. And there was a race last season where that happened, right? He didn't back down. I think what happened was, Kimi was in front of George. Then George said, Kimi's going too slow. I think I can overtake the person in front of him. They let George overtake, albeit they let him overtake late, right? And then by the time they allowed him overtake Kimi, he couldn't catch the person in front. I feel like the person in front was Leclerc or Piastri. He couldn't catch the person in front. And then they kept telling him, just give the place back to Kimi. And George was just not having it. And it was just later, I think maybe at the last minute, he just said, oh yeah, take, and gave it back. But the George, I think he's not just going to somebody that thinks that he can win the championship. Then you think he's like, forgive me, Piastri. You think he's like Piastri that will just say, okay, I don't think so. But let's see. So please,
so tell us what you think. If you're watching us, do you think that if Mercedes will impose team orders, and if they do,
good question.
Who do you think they're likely to favor? And if, as Temi suggests, they were to favor Kimi by any chance, do you think Russell will play ball?
Do you think he should play ball?
I don't know. I think Kimi plays ball.
Yeah, as you can expect.
And I think George is out of contract at the end of this season, I think.
Okay. So that kind of supports my argument, right? What does George have to lose, right?
It's tough. He ends up winning the season, and does the team retain him if he wins the season? If he disobeys their orders and wins the season despite their best wishes, do they retain him?
Ordinarily, I would say yes. Are you telling me you're not going to retain a world champion? However, Toto can be very stubborn. Toto can say no. The way he talks.
Williams and Damon Hill would like to have a word with you, because I think, was it the 95 or 96 title that Damon Hill won? I think it was 94. Anyway, no, 94 was Michael Schumacher's first title, I think. Anyway, wins the title, I think it was 95, wins the title and gets dropped by Williams.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He goes to drive an Aris or something. He's world champion.
Let's see. All of this.
I think it's a very, very good question. Very, very tough question. Very good question. I don't know. But yeah, you were saying something.
I said we have all of this to look forward to in this season. So we can predict. The action is coming. So can we just pen down our constructors? So who is taking the cup?
Constructors.
Who is taking the cup?
All depends on the car, right? I say Mercedes.
Okay, you say Mercedes. I'm just gonna be adventurous, also because I don't want to agree with you. I'm gonna say Ferrari.
Okay.
And with constructors, it's all about the car, but we mentioned that there are a few team pairings that are strong, right? Especially at and you have the Mercedes that are strong, but you also have two strong drivers in the McLaren, right?
Absolutely.
So that they're fighting for constructors as well. So, you could have a situation whereby even if they're not winning races, both of them are on podiums or they're coming second and third, and that can still win a constructors, right? And then you have the Ferrari. That's the reliable car. You don't have two bad drivers. You have, potentially two fast cars that are maybe not coming first every race, but again, are in the top sets. And so I'm gonna bet on them. I think that even if I was to bet, even if it wasn't Ferrari, I'd probably then go for McLaren next, actually.
So the reason why I don't think Ferrari, and I love your reasoning why I don't think Ferrari, and maybe this is just me being jaded and cynical about it, is the fact that I don't know if they'll keep their strategy together for a full season.
Yeah,
it's the upgrade cycle, the strategy, the on track, off track. I mean, I understand that they've moved their WEC, their World Endurance Championship team, is what they moved people around, and their WEC squad has been very, very good. Last year, I think they won the last few, so they've been strong. So I think they've moved the F1 guys to WEC and moved the WEC guys to the F1 team.
Okay.
And WEC is what is speed and endurance, but it's you have to be strong, you have to be reliable. So with endurance racing guys running the race team now, then but I just don't know if you're not a title contender, then can you win the team championship? Can you really win?
Stop. So I think, we gave our preferred, we gave who we thought would win, but just because I didn't say Leclerc, I think I very much think he's a championship contender. Very much.
I think you said so. I think you did so. You did.
So he is a championship contender, in my opinion. And I think we will see that this season. Whether Ferrari will let him be great, I don't know. I think I agree with you on all those things, and I'm trying to stay optimistic. But I do think he will fight to the best of his ability. And we know that he has the speed. We know that he's a good driver. He has literally just been waiting for a good car. I mean, if he doesn't have a good car this season, I think next season or towards the end of the season, we will be having another conversation on here about him leaving to an undisclosed team, right? But I think his contract is up for renewal. I think it's in 2027, right? I'm not sure. So
you mean George? I think is
no, not George. Charles. I mean Charles.
Charles. I think Charles leaves. So I think a lot depends on what Max does next. If Max retires at the end of this season, then depending on how this guy does, is it Hajjal his teammate?
Hajjal.
So I think if Max retires, Red Bull want to bring in somebody really fast. They can't do much faster than Leclerc. So Leclerc or Russell. If Russell goes from Mercedes to Red Bull, then why not Charles to Mercedes? It also depends on what happens to Lewis next season. If Lewis doesn't get a renewal, then I can very, very easily see Ferrari trying to sign George.
No,
I don't think Charles stays in the same team as Max. So if Ferrari go for Max, and I think they'll go for Max. If they go for Max,
Ferrari go for Max.
Yeah, I think Ferrari will go for Max.
I don't think so.
And if they go for Max, right? Then, and I'm not sure he agrees with the signs of it, but if Ferrari go for Max, then I think both Charles and Lewis will be out of the team. I don't think Charles will stay in the same team with Max. In which case you can see a swap where Max goes to Ferrari Max with Ferrari and Charles goes to Red Bull. Or you have an almighty shuffle where Charles goes to Mercedes, Red Bull sign Russell, and Ferrari sign Max. I don't think there's any team principle that if they have an empty seat will not attempt to sign Max. 4-time world champion, fastest guy on the grid by a mile. You know that even if and then given what he's done on the Red Bull package, I honestly don't see Max I don't see Ferrari not trying to sign Max.
I don't know. Let's see, right? we say, you know, Max is the fastest guy on the grid. He was the fastest guy, but this is 2026. Let's see, right? I agree, you don't lose your speed overnight, but let's see, right? If you have an experienced driver that is not adapting well to the car, then you're not going to sign him.
Yeah,
I've heard claims. There's been a lot of talk about how these new regulations and the new car suits older drivers better. Have you seen that? So there's been a lot of talk.
I've seen that.
A lot of talk about Max, Alonso, and Lewis doing better in these cars. I'd like to bring Bottas and Perez into the picture as well, because they're also experienced drivers, right? So let's see. We might see the older generation, and I like that narrative. To be honest, I like that narrative. Some of the older generation drivers, you know, picking up, you know, just doing well, and I don't know, I like it. So let's see. I think that to be honest with you, I feel like all of these predictions are just going to be thrown out the window.
Yep.
I feel like
everybody has a plan until the shooting starts.
Exactly. So I'm glad we have it down though, so that we can kind of measure how far off we were. But tell us what you think. Who do you think will be this year's constructors? Are you going with the reigning champs, McLaren? Do you think that there's some new blood? Is there someone that we haven't mentioned that you think, you know, might come from nowhere? Who are you rooting for as well? Tell us, which drivers do you think are, you know, in contention for the championship this season? Please drop your comment, share, like, subscribe. Let's get your feedback on this one, because I think it's going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't done so already, please give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, and please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this show. Do you have any questions for us? Do you have any comments? Do you think our predictions are rubbish? You know, let us know. Thank you very much for watching us.
Thank you for watching, guys. See you next week.
Good night, Temi.
Good night.
Take care. Good night.